everybody. Welcome back to Mortgage Ballers. My name is Rich Hanlin, and today I have the talented, multi-talented Stacey Dowling. Stacey, thanks so much for coming on and meet with me today to talk about loans, talk about life, and just let everybody get a little more deeper into who Stacey Dowling is. I know who you are, but today we're going to introduce you to the rest of the 44 states that we're in, because we've kind of figured out, and you figured it out, that we can do business anywhere in the United States electronically. We can have team members on our teams, and I know you have a team, so today I'm going to try and drag all that out of you because I want people to know who Stacey Dowling is. So thank you very much for coming on today.
Thanks for having me, Rich. This is great.
Tell everybody, where are you living right now? Where's your main headquarters?
So I'm in Castle Pines, Colorado, which is close to Denver.
Okay.
So when people ask me, I always say Denver.
I live in Hawaii. Where in Hawaii? No, I know where you're talking about.
Island? Yeah.
I have family there as well. Beautiful state. It's one of our, I think it's our third biggest state as far as business. I could tell you productivity-wise, Colorado, with the loan officers we have, if we did a funded transactions per licensees in the state of Colorado, it would probably be our highest state as far as performance. I can't figure out other than, we know it's an outside state. We know it's an active state. What do you think's behind all that? That's awesome when you think about it. It's not California. It's Colorado. It's not Texas. It's not Florida. It's Colorado. What do you think's behind all that?
Well, I think, a lot of it is it's an outdoor state and it's a 4-season state. So there's things to do in all 4 seasons, and we do see the sun almost every single day. So that makes me really happy. So I think that's part of it. And also I think until recently, we were pretty affordable. So people from California moved here. We were pretty affordable. I will say it makes me kind of sad that it's not as affordable now, but we've got a, great international airport and the Denver Nuggets. So, they're my team.
Right on.
And the Broncos, but we are a great sports town and great fans here.
Not last year, I think the year before I went out there. Evan Kaufman goes out there. He went to the Air Force Academy. He always, when it's Army, Navy, Air Force, Navy, Air Force, yeah. Army, whatever, comes through there on that year. Based on the home field, they always take the Denver Broncos field, Mile High Stadium, and he buys a big block of tickets, and they do the tailgating. So I flew out there. I was like, cool, if you do it, I'll come out there. I sat in the end zone, and I kind of looked up, and I was like, that is the biggest Jumbotron I've ever seen in my life. This thing was huge. It was like the whole back of the stadium was this Jumbotron. I almost could watch the game on that versus looking down on the field, but it was a beautiful stadium. I had never tailgated before, and so that was interesting. But also, he does a lot of VA business, so he puts it out there to anybody, that has done a loan with him, anybody who's PCSing, where they're getting ready to make a transition in their life, either in or out of that area onto the next assignment. He just has a huge presence with that, and he goes to all those events. I think the other one, depending on where it's at, was in Texas, so he always has tailgates on both of them. So I got to see that stadium. It's one of the beautiful stadiums I've ever been in, and it was a sunny day, a very sunny day. I even got a little sunburn at that Mile High.
Yes, yeah, that will happen. We're pretty close to the sun.
All right, on a deeper note, I want to hear this. I know a little bit of your background. How long have you been doing lending?
I'm just gonna say over 30 years.
Right on. Yeah. I knew you were with me in the 30 plus club.
Yeah, I'm in the 30 plus club.
In all those years, first of all, for me, it's been a blink of an eye. A lot's changed over 30 years, how we do it, things like that. How did you get into the industry, and what's kept you in the industry all this time?
Well, how I got into it was kind of an accident. I was putting myself through school, working 3 jobs and going to school. I decided to take a semester off of school to just work full time to save up some money and then maybe work 2 jobs the next semester. I was working for a really evil dentist who was like making people get procedures they didn't need. And I was walking out of the building one night, and the guy across the hall said, "How do you work for that guy?" I said, "Well, I just gave him my 2 weeks notice. He's crazy." And I said, "Why, you want to hire me?" And he said, "Well, why don't you come in for an interview?" And he owned a mortgage company. That's how it started. And I loved it.
How we did business way back when, I would tell you, Colorado, and I'll knock on wood because maybe I'll change it tomorrow. I feel like it's one of the most business friendly states. You got to really be hurting people before they come down on you because they want you to have the freedom to run a business. They keep their expenses very low as far as to get into business there from a brokerage and lending standpoint. They're very quick on getting licenses turned. Sometimes I've had one almost same day. I always tell people, hey, what's the fastest license you get? Colorado. Literally like one continuing ed class and boom, you're off and running. That's how it should be. They don't over meddle like some of the states like Washington that just want to be part of everything that you do. And it's like, did you breathe yesterday? You didn't ask permission. And it's like Massachusetts is like that. California's getting like that. I'm saddened by it, but it's more of a way. It's very hard for them to find problems with your loans because everything's automated, even TRID and all that stuff. You can't screw people over at the end anymore, things like that. So all the money's made on trying to say, oh, that person is doing unlicensed business. And you're like, what are you talking about? Well, they took an application in a state that they're not licensed in. I'm like, huh, okay. And they pulled a credit report in a state they're not licensed in. I'm like, what does that matter? It seems like once we originate a loan, that's when it used to be new. But now they go all the way back down the line. Because they're like, well, why would Stacey talk to somebody in Nebraska if she's not licensed there? Because they love her in Colorado and they have a sister in Nebraska and they're just talking questions. And then Stacey knows that we have a platform that can assist that person. You're taking a person with 30 years of experience and you're treating them as if they have nothing. That I have a problem with, and that's what's broken in our industry. I should be able to have a loan conversation with my rates are the same in every state. So if I quote you a rate in Nebraska, I'm just quoting you a California rate. But they're, oh no, you can't quote. It's like, I have 30 plus years experience. I'm the best person to be quoting that interest rate. So that's my little jab at the institution. But Colorado's not that way. You are part of a team, your team, by the way, and I'd want you to give a plug to that. But how many people you got on your team?
Gosh, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 or 8.
Okay. Why do you have a team? Why do you do your business that way?
So I started working with a team and having help for my originating back like probably 2011. And I was always one of those loan officers that would hover over my loan and refresh my screen. Do I have the approval yet? Do I have the approval yet? And I wasn't doing very many loans because I was hatching my loans. I was just sitting on them and went to some seminars and found, okay, maybe I can give up something. One thing that at one seminar, one of the leaders said was, if you can hire someone to do the job 80% as well as you, then that's good enough. And your borrowers won't know the difference. We do this every day. They do it 5 times in their life. And that really struck a chord with me. And it is so much more efficient to have a team. I know how to read pay stubs and bank statements and make sure we have every page of the bank statement, but that's not really the best use of my time. I know loans and I know how to get loans done. That's the best use of my time.
And I've heard that scenario a couple different ways. A lot of people twist and turn it a little bit, but it's the same concept. Your total value divided by 2,000, you'd be like, what are you talking about? Everything you made last year, you grossed, and you divide it by 2,000, that's your hourly worth. And if you can find somebody to do that for 25% or less of your hourly worth, that's a win every time. Now, obviously, if it gets higher of your hourly worth, because it maybe your hourly worth is $25 and you're starting to get in that, but as you become a higher performer, you can get a bigger spread. But they said it's 100% win if you can find somebody who could do it as good, 80% as good as you could do it. And it's okay that they're not perfect because they need a chance to grow too. But you win 100% because you didn't have to do it and spread the hours. So you just leveraged Stacey's ability so that Stacey can get back to the things that drive business, that the best use of your time. We've been talking about this. Like, people fight me on this all the time. And they always say, well, I'm only doing this much. And I'm like, there is a breakthrough moment where you're going to have to let go and try. If you're doing all the proper things to get more business and now it's holding you back. But if you're just surfing on the internet all day waiting for your phone to ring, then bringing on somebody to help you isn't going to help you do more. What are they taking off your hands? the ability to surf on the internet, go to Starbucks. Stephanie Gilbert, I talked to her. She goes, Rich, I don't even get my own Starbucks. Like that wastes 30 minutes of my day. Part of what this person does, they do this, 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 and this. And I was like, she's really freeing up her time in order to do what she does best. And then she closes it off at the end of the day and boom, she's done. But she has her hours and her calendar structured all day with her energy. Catherine Barnett, kind of the same thing. So I always tell people when you listen to these interviews, you're going to find common characteristics amongst these top performers. And you wake up with a plan, you understand the value of your time, what brings business and what takes business from you. So I love hearing that. We all just say it a little bit differently, which is awesome. Tell me about this. Because I think you said this before, but are you married? Do you have kids? Who is Stacey Dowling when she's not doing loans?
I am married. I have been married. I'm in the 30 plus club there too.
Right on.
And we have 2 kids. My son is 26 and my daughter's 23. And so they're in that fun 20s stage of their life, figuring out what they want to do. And we try to be as supportive as we can. It's tough. I don't know if you have kids, but it's tough to not enable, like you want them to launch, but you also want to protect them anyway. That's a different story. So that goes to my nurturing side of things. And as I mentioned earlier, I'm a huge basketball fan. So pretty much my calendar revolves around the Nuggets schedule.
Okay.
Yeah. So we used to have season tickets. We don't have those anymore, but I love basketball. And I love the correlation between sports and business. So one of my big things is play to your strengths. Like don't force something that you're crappy at because there's so many things that you're good at. And so play to your strengths and delegate the rest.
It just dawned on me when you said that. And that's a great analogy because all these people that are so afraid to, this person can't do it as good as me, but it's like, you're not even able to take the last shot at that borrower, at that transaction, because you're too busy sweeping the floors, in between the timeouts, because you have to do everything. And believe me, I guarantee you can sweep that floor good, but someone could do an okay job because I need you shooting the last shot and being in on the planning, because that's how we win games. Don't play to lose. We're playing to win. I think Matt Ishbia said that one time. I won't take credit for it. Say it that way. But I do love it. Yes, I played baseball. I have 2 sons, 29, 27. I have 2 grandkids now. Each one has one. Oh, life continues to change. But yes, the other day, I got to see my grandson. He just was born. And, I had been kissing his face for about an hour, about 100,000 times. And I was leaving. I told my wife, hey, I'm going to run there and get one more kiss. And so I went in and my son had already sat down. He loves Arkansas, watching baseball. He went to school in Arkansas. And I'm like, hey, I'm just going to get one more kiss. And he goes to hold up his son. And I said, no, I came in and I kissed him on the forehead. Oh. And I said, you need to understand, I still see what you're looking at in your hands, even now. And it's hard to let go and not want to protect, because they're like, hey, it's our time to hunt. We don't need you feeding us. And we can't rob them of that. And I don't want to rob them of that, even though, we think, don't go down that avenue. It's going to hurt. It's going to be pain. Yeah. But we have to let them, and I have to trust that they're going to be okay. And guess what? In many cases, the more I let go, the more incredible growth and things I see. So from a business standpoint, from a family standpoint, but I'm still holding on tight, and they're trying to grab my hands and open it up. I'm trying to let go, Stacey. I'm trying.
Yeah. It's a struggle. But it is. You think of the analogy, if you're holding on so tight, then there is no sunshine. There's nothing to
grow that seed.
Growth. Yeah.
I like that. How long have you been in Colorado? Your whole life?
My whole life. I am a native.
Wow.
We're kind of rare, actually.
I would think so. How do you and your husband, do you like there's sad and good and bad, but Colorado is kind of like a huge destination point for a lot of transitioning Californians and other places. How do you like that, being a native of Colorado?
Well, so there's good and bad. In my industry, it's great, right? It's great for business to have people move in here. But it's kind of wild to see how much everything has grown. It used to be from Denver to Colorado Springs, where the Air Force Academy is, it was pretty barren. And now it's like just becoming one big city,
Yeah,
all the
pretty
way.
much all the way down from the airport all the way to Colorado Springs. It's nothing but growth.
Yep.
And I
So,
found out there's even another airport that I don't, because I go to Colorado Springs, Peyton, and I always go into Denver, and someone's like, why don't you go into Colorado Springs? I'm like, they got an airport? And they're like, absolutely they do. I'm like,
yeah, and it's nice. It's
interesting.
little. I
Yeah,
like
you can
those
get
little
right
air.
in and right out. Yes, it costs
Yep.
me an extra $100 each way, but it saves that hour plus, well, getting off the plane, getting a car, getting down there. And it's a lot closer, 15 minutes from my
Way
brother-in-law's house,
closer.
stuff like that. So I do like it.
Yeah. And what's your time worth? Right?
Again, my wife drives and I get on the phone. My phone
Yep.
never works on the plane. I can never get that stuff to work. So it kind of
Yeah, me
goes in off
neither.
mode, and then I jump off and it's like they start just coming, all notifications. But I'm learning to let go. We just hired a corporate lawyer to handle all compliance. We're big enough. The examiners are saying, hey, this is too big for you to do on your own. We expect to see this. So we went and got it. I'm excited. I'm getting out from behind the desk in 2005 and I'm diving in back on the other side. I originate, I do real estate. I've been through a lot of markets. I have a lot of ideas on how to help people. I have a lot of ability to go and get people that can help influence and help our people. And they're like, well, why not just go for 1,200 originators? And I'm like, how about I dive into the 600 plus that we have and help them get one more loan? I accomplish the same thing and I have happier people. There's already value there. I just got to help some of them. Not everybody has a mentor like your team has. And, this is going to be part of that. Some of these people need to take on a mentor. They need to say, hey, I would like some help. And I know that some of my top are like, hey, I'm willing to try to help, but they've got to be the right fit, because there's people, I'm not going to bring someone on and say, I'm going to dive into you, but if you're going to fight me every day, it's like,
Right.
just do what I tell you and stop fighting it. Michael Radcliffe took on somebody and he said, Rich, I waited for her to fight me. She didn't fight me at all. She called the first day crying, saying, I got yelled at so many times. Well, he said, you're going to call 25 more realtors tomorrow. And the next day, and over like a month, she started calling back, but just something changed in her. It became routine. It's okay if they don't want to talk. It's not personal. They don't know you. But she also started getting business. He talks about that, and I'm like, wow, Michael, the core is kind of where that comes from.
Yeah,
Comes
I'm
from.
very familiar.
A lot of people do that. You'll hear some different people talking about it. What kind of you're in a different market because it's Colorado, and I know it's different around the United States. I had somebody the other day, first time home buyer, $1 million, Orange County, California, 240,000 in this person where they were in Michigan. I can tell you right here in Georgia, I can get you a first time home buyer if you're okay not living downtown Atlanta and you're willing to commute 30 to 40 minutes into Atlanta for a job. I could get you into a home for 225, brand new, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, DR Horton in a brand new neighborhood. It's just different everywhere. Same interest rates, but different entry points. What are you seeing where you're at with your buyers? What's your entry point to become a homeowner where you're at?
Say 450 is the bare minimum for a single family. And really your 5 to 6 is, if you're anywhere in the metro area, you're paying 5 to 6 for that entry home.
Wow.
So yeah. So it's high. I remember the first jumbo loan I did, Rich, was $260,000. And that was in the 90s. And that was a jumbo loan. And now, I mean, that house is probably worth 1.
Right. We're going back now on that. The day I walked into the industry, September 1st, 1991, the rates had just come down from like 8.75 to 8.25. And I remember, I think jumbo that day was like 186,001, and it was just getting ready to go up because we're getting towards the end of the year. And I thought, wow, 186. My parents paid 27,000 for their house in San
Yep.
Bernardino. What do these people make to live like that? But
Yeah.
just crazy to me. Knowing that, how are you dealing with the people that are fence setters right now? What is the kind of conversations you're having with people that are maybe saying, I'm going to wait because I'm hoping for 2.5, or, how do you overcome that kind of stuff? Because we're all having to deal with it.
Well, a lot of it is going back historically. So, there are people out there that think we're going to have a crash and that prices are going to go down. And I talk about inventory and history and, through the mortgage meltdown, what happened in our area, what happened in Colorado. And we did bounce back pretty quickly. And also, every single purchase loan I have right now has seller concessions. And so you get your down payment, your agent will get your closing costs, and you're in a home. Done. Then when it's time to refinance, we'll just do it. And we may not even have to get a bunch of stuff because we already have all your stuff. So, my big thing right now is get under contract while sellers are panicking and get as much. And we are seeing like 6% seller concessions on FHA loans and 3% on conventional loans. I mean, the maximum. And there's a lot we can do with that money.
I actually saw somebody, and that's great advice. When the market turns, there's going to be 40 people in line for the same house, and there'll be no concessions.
Right.
So you got to be careful what you're waiting for, because those things go away, but yet you've got 5.5. Yeah, but over 30 years. But the odds are you ain't going to keep it for 30 years. And you're probably going to be like everybody else and refinance it every 7 years, 5 years, if it comes up and it's allowed. So careful how much money you spend to buy that rate down permanently, things like that. I was trying to, what was I going to tell you about that? I know what it was. I was going through my emails and I'm like, it caught my eye and I'm like, what is this? And the disclosure wasn't correct. And I thought, okay, what's going on? So I opened it up. It was a 5-1 FHA 5-1 arm. And I went, gosh, who's offering that? I hadn't really seen that. FHA used to have some great adjustables.
Yeah.
They had a 3-2-1 buy down FHA. And you could qualify at the lower start rate. I mean, they've had all variations, but you could ease somebody into a house really good over time with that kind of a buy down. But I was thinking, I got to go look and see, what does a 5-1 get you off of a 30-year fix? That's a 30-year loan, fixed for 5 years, does a one-time adjustment, and or it becomes a 1-year adjustable. So you better know what you're doing there, and you have to, but if you're saving 1%, or are you saving 0.375? So I got to go check that out, because I haven't seen that one in a long time. And I'm thinking, who's offering that? Because here's one thing people say, well, they offer FHA. They do, but there's a lot of different products under FHA that are out there that a lot of lenders don't offer, because they're just not popular enough to add to their underwriters and things like that. And you get into adjustables, that's where we kind of ran into problems before. And so you have to disclose them correctly, or you can get in a lot of trouble. So I'm paying attention to that one, because we do not fund FHA loans. We broker them. So it's on the lender, and even the lender got it wrong who offers it. That's scary. So it's obviously not something, someone's trying to find a little corner in the market to do something different. But we got to be careful with those things, because that can, if it's not the norm, it's not the norm for a reason. Say it that way. Tell me about your team. What are their hopes and aspirations coming underneath you? Are they specific to something that they do? Is there any loan originators underneath you that are trying to learn and become better loan originators, or does each person just do a specific thing?
So everyone on my team is a licensed loan originator.
Wow. Okay.
Whether they're support or just originating loans. So everybody's licensed, and I have 2 gals that are kind of processors and loan officer assistants, kind of combined into one, which makes sense. They help me out on the front end, gathering all the documentation, data entry. And then when that person goes under contract, they're the ones submitting it. So, and chasing conditions, which is my favorite thing. And then I have a guy on my team who's really like a structure specialist. And I do a lot of investor loans. And so there's a lot of moving parts with their other properties and all that stuff. And so he helps me. I mean, really, it's just great to be able to talk through it and but here's a red flag. So we really can't go that route. Here's something that's going to keep us from going this route. And so he's really great at that. And I mean, he's great at talking to my borrowers' CPAs and this is what the letter needs to say, and this is why they need to say it. I'm like, because the underwriter said we need it. That's why. Just give it to me,
Yeah.
So, anyway, and then the rest of the folks are loan officers. And, we have a meeting, we have a huddle every single morning at 9:30, and I don't make anybody do anything, but I'll tell you, I've got about 98% of the time everybody's on the huddle. And we talk about what challenges we've had, what successes we've had. One of my loan officers knows all about manufactured homes and all that purging of title and all that. I don't know anything about that. But we then help each other out. We get to know what everybody's specialty is. And then when a borrower calls us and goes, "This is what I want," you don't have to say, "Oh, I don't know how to do that." Say, "Yep, I've got a specialist on my team. Let me go ahead and take your application."
Do you have anybody who speaks other languages?
I am working on that right now.
Okay.
Yeah, I have a gal that I'm going after that speaks Spanish. We have a lot of Spanish speaking people in Colorado.
That came up the other day in Colorado, so it made me wonder. Right
Yeah.
on. What is your advice for anybody out there? 2025, here we are, we're in March already. Life just keeps going on. What's your advice to anybody watching this, whether a loan originator, whether they're a borrower? And I'm not talking about fence sitters, kind of like, I'm just saying in general, if you could give just one piece of advice out there, as we close this up, 30 plus years doing this, you've seen a lot. What kind of advice could you just pass on to somebody?
Well, if you are an adult and you don't own a home, you need to own a home. That's 30 years goes in a blink of an eye. And the equity, the value that you have in just the home you live in is amazing and can keep you going, in retirement. So you need to own a home. You should not be renting, and you should reach out to a loan officer first before the realtor and let them help you figure out what you qualify for and how to do that. Just how do I get a mortgage? That's my biggest piece of advice. You need to own a home.
Well, there you have it, people. That's 30 plus years of experience. And maybe you watch this and you go, you know what? I would like to work with Stacey, or maybe I would like to consider on the loan side, and maybe I'd like to talk to her. Maybe I'm a borrower, I'd like to talk to her. I'm going to make sure all of her information's down in the bottom of this, both, and we're going to get it out there in front of a lot of people, because people want to work with positive people, eligible people. How many people do you think you have assisted over 30 years?
Thousands and thousands. Because, when we started, Rich, we didn't have CRMs. We had a Rolodex. And so thousands and thousands. And
some of us still have Rolodexes, so watch it.
Yeah, I know. I still work with people that I met in those first few years of my business and their kids. So that's a real blessing.
I agree. Generations I've been able to work with, and just doing right by people. And knowledge does take time. For whatever reason, I'm still in this path of my life going forward. At 57, I'm going to be 58 here pretty quick. So just keep on going. Never thought in my life I would get into real estate or real estate lending, but here I am 35 years later. It's funny, If you want to hear God laugh, tell him your plans, I think is how it goes. But Stacey, I want to say thank you for your time today.
Thank you, Rich.
I know your time's valuable, and you gave us some incredible information. You also have a team of 8. You're not doing it alone. You're one of my bigger teams. And so I think that's awesome to get to interview you versus, people are like, these are all people under the same platform. Yes, there's freedom at Xpert Home Lending to do a lot of things. And I'm not plugging for Xpert. What I'm saying is I don't know any other way, because this is how she finds her success. Why would I tell her no? I want the best of Stacey Dowling, and she knows what's best for her, and I learn. And so I love that, because I'm still learning every single day, even after 35 years. So I want to say thank you for your time. Yes, absolutely.
That means you're growing.
I'm growing. I'm letting myself into the sunlight.
Yes, there you go.
Well, right on. I want to say thank you again. I appreciate you coming on the show, Mortgage Ballers. And like we always say when we close it out, stay thirsty, my friends.
Love it. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your time.
Bye.